What up? What up? What up? What up? What's up,
What
my guy?
up, killer? We back again.
Hey, it's like they can't get rid of us, man. We just keep coming back.
Oh man.
And new week, new sunshine, man. What is going on your way, man? What's going on this week with
I can't call it, brother. I'm just blessed and happy to be here, man.
you?
As most of you already know, we done kicked off the promoter series. We're a couple weeks in. So once again, we have a new face for you guys.
Another one?
Another one.
We
Another
just
one.
keep coming back with new faith. All right. Let's slow it down. All right. Let them know who we got coming to the stage, man. Let them know.
Man, so as I stated on an episode before, we have genuine connections here. We just don't bring random people on. I actually met this fella in 2019.
Okay.
I just happened to compete at a show, and I did men's physique. Believe it or not, I did men's physique, and he did men's physique also.
Who won?
I think, was he already a pro? I don't think we went up against each other.
AKA
Yeah.
he won, y'all. Hey, no.
Hey, whatever. Anyways, he's a husband.
Okay.
He's an NGA promoter.
Okay.
He's been competing for 20 years as of this year. Two
That's
decades in the game, man. He
20.
competes men's physique, and he likes to put on the classic trunks. All
Okay.
right.
Aubrey. Okay.
He has 13 years in the game of promoting. He promotes two of the biggest shows in Kentucky. All right. Let's welcome Josh Miller to the show.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Thank you for that introduction, Jamal.
Hey, no problem. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't step on stage together in 2019, right?
Yeah, no, we wasn't on stage. I know I was a pro that year.
Right.
And there was two pros. The guy that I competed against, I know his name. It ain't coming to me right now. He was from Texas, though. He used to be an NGA promoter in Texas.
Brad.
That's it. Yes, Brad.
Yeah. So, see, Eric, we didn't compete against each other.
Hey, we might gotta dig up those pictures. We'll dig up those pictures and maybe put it in the reel. Maybe after this. So just so people can see this because nobody gonna picture Jamal and they had to be some bell bottom shorts. I'm pretty sure they was.
Now, didn't you compete in Classic at that show?
Yeah, I competed in Classic, but they didn't have enough people to give out a pro card in men's physique, so they asked me if I would do it. And I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but long story short is I end up winning and getting my pro card in men's physique also.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know how that was, but I definitely remember you being at the show, and that's where I met you.
Yeah.
And then that's also, I remember that's when, I said, hey, man, I'd love to have you up in my show in Kentucky. And so I guess it was probably that following fall, that same year that you come up to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And you competed as a classic, and I think we talked you into doing, you was a pro classic competitor,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked you into doing amateur bodybuilding, and you ran away with it.
Yeah.
That was you dominated that show.
And so, I don't know if you remember this or not, but it was bad weather. Something happened to my flight, and you being the great man that you are, you literally woke up at 1:00 in the morning to drive me all the way to Cincinnati airport.
Yeah,
because I couldn't fly out of Lexington, so you actually woke up it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when we got on the road and we went to Cincinnati. So I will be forever grateful for that.
Yeah, I remember that well. I'll tell you the full story here. I was we had a show on Sunday that year. That's the only time I've ever had a show on Sunday. And the reason being was because that was in 2021, and that wasn't your first show. That was your second show you did with me. And so the reason I had it on Sunday was because COVID had everything shut down. All the venues were shut down for so long. And then when they finally started to open up, the weekends were booked out for a long time, and I couldn't find a venue anywhere on a Saturday. So one of the few venues I could find that I could get a show for Sunday, I'm like, hey, if your Saturday's booked up, maybe we can, what about Sunday? And they said, yeah, we can get you in on a Sunday. It's the reason I end up having that show on a Sunday. And so, we had the show was over, and I remember I was laying down to go to bed that night, and I happened just to kind of, check my emails and check my text messages right before I went to bed. It's about 11 o'clock. And I get a text from Jamal, and I'm like, you said, hey man, I just got a notification that my flight was canceled. And you said, can you take me to the airport? And I said, yeah, sure, that's no problem. And I said, what time you need to be at the airport? And I think you had to be there at your flight left at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, yeah, I said, I said, I gotta be at work early anyway. I said, I'll just drop you off. I'll have you to the airport by 5 and plenty of time to, get checked in and everything. And I said, no, I'll just drive on to work. Then you sent me the itinerary, and it was CVG, which meant that was in northern Kentucky in the Cincinnati airport. And I'm like, oh man, I was thinking it was Lexington. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to have to leave a lot sooner than I thought. I said, I'll get a couple hours of sleep. I'll pick you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That way I can have you there by 5, because it's going to be about a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
And we took you up there and dropped you off. I come straight back. I was at work by 6 a.m., started with my first client.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm forever grateful for that. And I will forever be grateful to you, and I will promote your show at any given time, man.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always an honor to have you in our shows. It's always an honor.
Appreciate that.
I was going to say, the only thing I'm hearing from that story, I heard a lot. I heard that Josh is a great person to drive you first 2 hours away. But the only thing I learned about you from this story, Jamal, is that you're just easily influenced. Like, hey, you should do this. And you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. That's all I heard.
Hey, if this helping someone else attain a pro card in that situation, it didn't help anyone else. It helped me. But yes, right. I'm all for it.
It only helped you.
I'm all for it.
Let's see. I think we lost Josh.
I was getting a phone call there, making sure my phone was on silent now. I'm good to go.
All right, Josh. So we got you on. Thanks for joining us. Is there anything that I missed in your intro? Anything you want to start off with to let the people know a little bit more about you, and then we'll dive right into it.
I don't think so. I think you covered it, man. Been promoting for since 2013, and I promote 2 shows a year. There for a couple of years, I did promote 3 shows. That I had a show out in Western Kentucky. But I actually got that one started, then I give it off to another promoter. And but yeah, that's turned pro as a pro physique competitor, got my pro card in physique, and I think it was 2014, got my pro card in bodybuilding in 2016. So just, and then started I guess I started judging shows probably around 2017, 2018. Been doing a lot of so I'm gone a lot throughout the year, judging shows almost every weekend, seems like, especially during spring and fall.
Okay. So I guess I'll get into this portion because I actually met you in person last year. We judged together, and I always tell people that the people that you always want at a judging table are 1, people with experience, 2, people that's a fan of bodybuilding, and then 3, someone who competed at a high level. Like, those are the type of judges that I like to see and I like to talk to, because when we have a conversation, it's deeper than, hey, who do you have first or second? It's always an explanation or a reasoning that comes along with why you place someone there, and it comes back with knowledge and experience. So that's why I love judges that has that, that has that experience. So with us meeting last year and judging, how do you go about your judges? How do you make sure that they, I guess, have your show at the highest standard according to the criteria presented for NGA?
Yeah, it's the same as you, man. I make sure that they've been somebody that's been involved in the sport for a very long time. Make sure that they're a pro, because typically, you know, if you're a pro competitor, you've got some experience. You know what it takes. You can give good feedback. If you're not a pro, have you put the time in? Do you know how to give good feedback to the competitor? And that's a big thing that I really, really try to improve, is make sure that we're giving the competitors the feedback that's going to make them a better competitor when they come back and do that show. If they do what we tell them to do, they're going to have a better placing. They're going to place higher. They're going to do better, and we got to be able to back that up. Um, and I feel like it's something that the competitor needs to be able to relate to. The judge should be able to relate to the competitor. And I always have meetings with my judges before our shows, making sure we're all on the same page with the criteria. Make sure all the judges are looking for the same thing. I know you got a panel, so everybody kind of has their preferences, but I still want to make sure we're looking for the same thing as a panel. But like I said, the feedback, the experience that they have, and how passionate are they about the sport? Do they have that passion? Do they have that love for it? Do they know the competitors? Again, I can't stress enough, being able to relate to them. There's been so many times as a judge myself that I have, a competitor be upset in their placing, and I put my arm around their shoulder and say, "Hey, man, I understand why you're upset, but look, you take that energy, you take what I'm telling you, you're going to come back and you're going to do better. This is what we need to work on. This is how we need to improve." And not just telling them, "Oh, you need to get bigger," or "You need to tighten up more." Maybe go over some exercises that they need to do in order to improve. Maybe make sure that their rep range is correct. Make sure that their dieting's on point in certain areas. But I try to give very detailed feedback whenever I'm giving feedback to competitors, and I expect all the judges on the panel to do the same thing.
All right, let's talk longevity here, Josh. You got 2 decades in competing. You got 1 decade in promoting. I would have to check the fact sheet and see, but as far as I know, NGA is the oldest national organization. So how have you been able to find success with the NGA, with your 2 shows a year in Kentucky? With some people may say NGA is dying, but as far as you people show up to your shows every year. So let's just talk about the longevity that you've had in Kentucky with your shows and why people keep showing up.
Yeah, I really believe this. I believe that competitors aren't really looking for organization. They're looking for good promoters and good shows. So I think if the promoter puts on a high quality show and lets the competitors know that it's sure there for them, to make sure they have an amazing experience, to make sure that the stage and the venue and the energy and everything is to give them an amazing experience, something that's going to be worth all the training and effort and energy that they put into that show. Make sure that's worthwhile. So I think if the promoter will have that attitude and that passion and that drive for the competitor, the competitor's going to see that, and they're going to feel that, and they're going to want to be a part of that. Something I really try to provide for all of our competitors. And each year I'm like trying to up my game, and how can I create more exposure for the competitors? So I'm making sure that I typically have about 3 photographers there at the show. I got one guy getting group shots with all the competitors on stage. I got another guy that's doing all these different angles and fun shots and candid shots. I got people backstage, doing interviews, taking pictures backstage. I also do a live stream. And something that I'm going to add this year to the live stream is we're going to do some commentators, play by play with the live stream that we're going to be doing. But something that is going to give those competitors a great experience and exposure, which is what they need. And it's something that a lot of natural bodybuilding lacks, I feel like. You see a lot of IFBBs, you get a lot of exposure, but you don't necessarily see as much in natural bodybuilding. But, if the promoter has that passion and to create something for the competitor, they're going to come to your show.
And I guess my question is, like you said, you've been promoting for over a decade. You've been competing for over 2. So with your experience over time, I'm pretty sure you was picking up things as an athlete that you would want at a show. Mm-hmm. And then how did you change that and move that into your promotion bag? Like, what did you take as a competitor that you was like, hey, this is a must-have when I have my show? What do I want to give these athletes?
Yeah, I've been as a competitor. I've been in some good shows and I've been in some bad shows, and that's one of the most discouraging things is as a competitor is to get up there and it just be bad experience from the standpoint if I felt like the promoter did not put the effort into the show that it needs to have. And you can usually tell that when you're there. Sometimes I've had high expectations for a show and I get there and it just not be what I expected it to be. But I always want to make sure that when the competitor leaves our show, they're going to know as a promoter, I did everything to create an amazing experience for them. I picked up a lot of really good things from, different promoters. Some of the shows that I've judged the Mr. America. I've judged at the Florida State several times. I think that, Daryl does a good job with, I got the idea of doing having the commentators there whenever they're doing the live stream. I think that's a really cool perk. He's somebody that really very passionate about promoting as well. And, so I picked up some good things from him. I picked up some good things. There's some NPC promoters in the area when I first started promoting that I reached out to, and this one guy in particular I reached out to, and he really took a big risk helping me because he was with the NPC, and I called several of them, but did not get a return phone call from any of them except for this one. And he came out and he really kind of put me under his wing, and he really set the bar high for me. And he had many years of experience from being an NPC promoter and an NPC judge. And the big thing that I learned from him was make your stage look good. Also, another thing is make sure your show flows smooth. You don't want any delays in the show. One class is going off, you got the other one coming on at the same time. Make sure it starts on time. If you're going to say you're going to start your show at 11 a.m., you start at 11 a.m., not 11:01 a.m. And those things, it really set the bar high for me to make sure that I want to make sure everything goes perfectly smooth the way this promoter taught me how to do it. And I've held those values, from then on. And, I've always looked at ways about, how can I improve? I look back at each show, after every show, what can I do to make the show better? But yeah, there's a lot of shows I learned a lot of things from. If I go to a show and I like something, I've tried things and I've messed up. There's been several areas as a promoter where I have messed up. One time, I thought I would try to save some money by kind of doing my own DJ work. And I thought, I can do this. I can play music as they're coming on and off and do all this stuff. And man, that was a train wreck. I felt so bad about that. And I'm like, that's never going to happen again. So I made sure from then on, that's a good investment to hire a good DJ and somebody that's familiar with bodybuilding. A good DJ knows how to keep that atmosphere elevated. If there's a dull moment for whatever reason, that DJ is going to be able to pick the music up. So there's a lot of things like that just to improve and increase the quality of the show. So that's something I don't skip money on at all is my DJ.
Absolutely. And me and Eric say this all the time. The promoters that put the athletes first will always thrive in this business.
Yeah.
Promoters that try to cut corners and save money, you will not thrive in this business.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So with that, give me your top 3 priorities when it comes to promoting your show. What's your top 3 on the list that you go after for promoting your shows?
Okay. I always want my atmosphere. I want it to be a very positive, energetic, electric atmosphere. Okay. That's something that the competitors are going to leave with. That's the experience that they're going to have. That's what they're going to feel. Now, I want them to. I've had many competitors, when they get off stage during pre-judging, they're like, "Oh man, that was exhilarating." And what I really try to do is, I make sure you've been to my shows before, and it's after I moved it to Rupp Arena, to the convention center at Rupp Arena.
That's the last one I did.
Yeah. We've I've been having it there ever since. That creates a good atmosphere. And what I like to do during that is, I keep the competitors just behind the curtain. I don't put them in a separate room, because when they're behind the curtain, they're feeling that energy of the show. They're hearing the MC call the people as they walk out on stage, the competitors as they walk out. They're hearing the music from the DJ. They're hearing the crowd. So if I put them off in a separate room way down the hallway, they're not going to feel all that energy. So I keep them right back there, right behind the pipe and drape, right behind the curtain there. That way they're a part of it and they can feel it. And then, so that's a huge priority for me. And another thing is making sure that the show runs perfectly smooth. I don't want any hiccups whatsoever in the show. I don't want any delays in the show. I want to make sure it runs perfectly smooth. And that's a huge priority to me. And making sure we start on time. How many shows have I been to and they, 20 minutes late getting started, 30 minutes late getting started? I'm like, no, it sets a bad standard for the promoter, sets a bad standard for the show if you do that. And if you're cutting corners there, if you're starting late, it just says a lot about the show, I feel like. And I make sure I'm starting on time. A few other things I'll throw in there. So those are probably my top 3. But I always want to make sure that I, at some point, talk to every competitor at the show.
And I can totally agree with you. Like you literally do. You take time to go around and talk to every competitor. So
yeah, I really try. I take advantage of the check-in process. And when everybody comes in, I'm walking up to people, talking to people, getting to know them, and building a relationship with them. And sometimes I'll miss them at check-in, but I'll look for them at the show, at prejudging or the evening show, and I'll say, "Hey, man, I didn't get to talk to you at the check-in yesterday. I just want to introduce myself. Thank you so much for coming and do my show." But I want the competitor to know they're valued, and I really, really appreciate them coming out and doing my show. They could have picked any show in the world to do, and they picked my show, and I value that, and I'm very honored, and I'll let them know that.
Absolutely. And just off of experience, you always give a speech at the beginning of your shows. Hey, don't sit in the corner. Go say hey to somebody. You never know, you may, make a long-lasting friendship or whatever the case may be. And one thing that you really didn't speak on, like you spoke on the atmosphere, but for you, I've been to a couple of your shows. The support system you have around you is very good. Like it's great. And that makes the atmosphere so much better. It's like you have like one big family back there. Everybody's laughing, joking, just having a good time. So I can definitely attest to that.
I'll have to say, man, I'm blessed with a great team, and they really help make the show what it is. Without them, it wouldn't be the same. I got a great group of people that come out and support me and help me with every show. I can't give enough props for all of them, and most of them are volunteering their time to come out and help. They want to be there. They want to help. And and I'll also have a meeting with all of the volunteers before the show, and I go over things with them. I'll talk with them. I'll say, "Hey guys, this is a big day for these competitors, they have put everything they have into this day, into this moment. For the past, someone's been training for 6 months, someone's been training for a year for this moment. And I'll warn them. I'm like, hey, some of them are stressed out. They might be short, they might be cranky. They've been dieting really hard, and some of them are carb depleted, some of them are dehydrated, whatever. Overlook them, but you go out of your way to make sure that you give them a good experience, and then just be there and support them. I always tell them, if you have an opportunity to compliment them, say something nice to them. It means a lot to the competitor, if one of the staff, one of the volunteers say, hey man, you look great up there, it just does something for them. And that's the environment that I want there. But yeah, I always encourage, kind of like what you said there, Jamal, with, a story that I give at every show is when I first started competing, I was so focused on me. I would put my earphones in, and I would just hide away in a corner and just concentrate on what I had to do. And I would miss out on a good experience of getting to know people backstage because I was so focused on me, and miss out on the experience of the show. And when I realized that, I'm like, okay, that's never going to happen, because the day of the show, either I'm ready or I'm not. There's really nothing much left you can do at that point. So I'm going to make sure that I have a good time backstage. I'm going to make sure I connect with everybody backstage. And that's me as a competitor. So as I always try to, encourage all the competitors that are at our shows to do the same thing.
Okay. So I've been boiling over here with this question. I've been boiling. All right. So we like to always think that we're speaking athlete to athlete. Like, we're always trying to give advice or provide some form of entertainment or whatever to our audience, right? And I also think this promoter series is very important because not only are we hearing from promoters, but promoters can also take nuggets from other promoters. So the one thing, and it's a conversation we always have off screen, we never brought it on screen until today. So you're welcome. Today, there's a lot of promoters that always talks about bells and whistles. Like, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have this. But from an athlete standpoint, if you truly know, we never experience those things because we're so focused on the show. Like, we don't take full advantage of everything that a show has to offer. Mainly that's for either, I want to be respectful, but lower placing competitors because they usually get to enjoy it first, or they get to do more things than people who are in overalls, or it's for the audience. The athletes really don't get to engage in all of the fun things or the bells and whistles. So how do you manage of having the bells and whistles, but also providing an experience that your athletes are actually going to enjoy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. As far as the bells and whistles, I always try to give a goodie bag out at prejudging, or I'm sorry, at check-in. So I try to get as many things for the competitors as I can, as far as t-shirts, caps. Sometimes we'll have a company that will put some type of lotions or salve or something like that in there, and we've had like icy hot and all that kind of stuff. But try to provide as much as we can for them in that sense. For me, the big thing with the bells and whistles that I encourage that the competitors to take advantage of is the exposure that we provide for them at the show. I have Christian Duke come in of Strength Addicts. Are you guys familiar with Christian Duke of Strength Addicts? Okay, he's a guy from Louisville, Kentucky, and he's got a big following on Instagram, and he also has he's got of course a big following on pretty much all of the different platforms. But he comes in and he will he'll do backstage interviews, and he tries to get everybody if he can. He tries to get as many of them as he can, and he does a great job of creating that exposure for the competitor. The opportunities are there for the competitor to get the exposure. And, if they pass up on it, that's their own fault, because you can't help but see Christian walking around back there, with his camera. Anybody that will do an interview with him, he'll do an interview with you. of course, the the live stream. We also brought John Boyette. I don't know if you guys know John Boyette. Okay, he's a guy who comes in. He's a filmographer, and so what he does is he will capture an amazing video of all of the competitors. And if you want a highlight reel of yourself, you don't have to let him know in advance. He's got footage of everybody. So after the show, if you want to contact him, he will take all of the highlights that he has, and then he will put together like a 60-second highlight reel to music. And this guy does an amazing job. I mean, it's the quality is amazing. So that's something that every competitor can take advantage of, whether you notify him beforehand or after the show. The opportunity is there to get that. So, if you don't partake in those bells and whistles, that's your own fault as a competitor, because I'm throwing it in your face at every angle that I can to make sure that we have that there.
Okay. So my next question, and I'm not trying to put you on blast or anything like that. With the bells and whistles, of course we know bodybuilding is freaking so expensive. But before we even step on stage, we done tossed out a lot of money, and we're talking about exposure and all that. And I don't even know if you can even answer this, but how do we manage that with the competitors that can't afford to buy that exposure as promoters? Like how can you manage that?
Yeah, well, for what I do with I try to make everything. I try to do everything for the competitors to the point where everything is cost as efficient as possible.
Right.
For example, I got a deal worked out with the photographers. They don't have to buy their pictures. Their pictures are free. I pay our photographer a flat rate. He comes in, and what he does is he will take pictures, and in between prejudging and the evening show, he is uploading all of those pictures to a Facebook account. Now the competitor can go in, pull up their pictures immediately, and post it. Now he also gives me, after the show, he'll give me the high resolution copies of those pictures. If anybody wants a printout, I can send that to the competitor at no charge. So these are perks that I try to do for all the competitors. I don't charge for our live stream. So, if they have the link, they can go there. Friends and family can watch it. If they want to record a, screenshot, record something from the live stream of themselves, they can go in there, watch the live stream, and pick that up even. No charge for that. The pictures of the backstage interview, there's no charge for that. We got a guy backstage. So I'm working these deals out with with our photographers and with our live stream guy and everything to try to make everything as cost efficient for everybody. The only thing really, if they want, as far as exposure goes, that they're going to have to spend their own money on would be the videos, the highlight reel that John Boyette does, and he puts a lot of time in editing those. But his rates are very reasonable, and something I highly recommend for everybody to get at our shows.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question, because now everyone knows, hey, if you come to Kentucky, your pictures are pretty much free. Like
they're free. They're 100% free. 100% free. And that includes, awesome. Your group comparison, because what a lot of people will do, after prejudging, they'll go back and they'll look at the group, if it was, open lightweight or whatever, you get to see all of your poses with all the competitors standing next to you. And, it's a cool thing that people can do, because he uploads them immediately, and he puts thousands and thousands of pictures up. He doesn't get all of them up until probably, a couple of days later, but he is getting them up fast. And like I said, it's really cool. I got the other photographer, the same thing. I got the same deal worked out with him, where he's capturing images from, he might go backstage and capture a picture of a group with the silhouette, with the crowd in the background, different things like that. Really cool stuff. He uploads those to the account, and all they got to do is go in there on the account and download whatever they want.
And I'm speaking from a competitor standpoint. There's nothing worse than paying $80, $100, $120 for some pictures. You wait 4 or 5 weeks and get the pictures back.
I know it.
It's garbage. But
I know.
Go ahead,
Eddie. Ken. There's a guy that comes down out of Indianapolis, Indiana, that does that for us. He'll come down. I got JC Norton of Musclehead Graphics. He does a lot of the candid stuff there too. So you're getting, different pictures from different angles, group. Also, single pictures. We're trying to cover our bases from every angle that we can. Just like I said, give the competitor an amazing experience. And like I said, I think that's what, regardless of the organization, if the promoter is putting that kind of effort in, you're going to draw a crowd.
Yeah, and I got a quick comment on that too, because like I said, I would have never known that, and I'm glad he did ask you, because that is a big selling point, especially for your show, not only, of course, who the promoter is, but also things like that. Because I think the one thing that gets overlooked is the free promo that you get as well. I mean, you technically pay for the promo, but so many more people are going to post those pictures immediately. So many more people are going to post those videos and things of that nature, which also in turns bring eyes to your show.
Exactly. It is. It's a walking advertisement. It's a walking billboard for me, because every competitor is going to be posting those pictures. Every post, in the highlight reels. Every competitor. I can't tell you what a huge selling point that was with the promo videos. Every competitor were getting these highlight reels because they were amazing. I mean, they were fantastic. I mean, he would have you walking out in slow motion and, have the right music with the right vibe. And it's something that was motivating and inspiring, and it captured that. And so every competitor that competes wanted those. And for weeks after the show, man, I was seeing video after video after video. And every video, it's got my logo in the background, with being on stage with my backdrop, so it's drawing attention to the show. So, it's a small investment for me to be able to, give out the free pictures and that kind of thing for what I get in return for it.
Gotcha. And I have one final question, and I'll let Jamal, I guess, finish this. So the first thing is we need to know when your show is, the date and the name of it. So that's the first part of the question. And then the second part is kind of your selling point for your show. You don't have to sell good shows. You just have to talk about them, right? But I want to know where your passion comes from when you're while you promote the show. Where's your passion driven from?
Okay. Well, my next show is May 16th, the Kentucky Natural Classic. I'll update everybody a little bit. I've always had the Kentucky Natural Classic in the spring. I've always had the Bluegrass Bodybuilding Championships in the fall. Bluegrass Bodybuilding Championships is going to be in Louisville this year instead of Lexington. So we're kind of dispersing out with that. It's going to be October 3rd. The NGA, Andy Bacinto and Francine Bacinto, they contacted me back last fall.
No, hold on. I'm gonna ask that question.
Okay. So the show's out. May 16th, October 3rd, November 14th, and that may lead into Jamal's next question. And your other part of the question is, why am I passionate about promoting? Is that correct?
Yeah. So where did this passion come from for natural bodybuilding, and why do you just keep promoting, or what's keeping you in the sport, basically?
Yeah. Okay. I love, man. I just love promoting. I love everything about it. I was a competitor. I started competing in 2006, like we talked about earlier. And in Kentucky at the time, the only organization was NPC. There was no natural organizations in the state. And at the time, there was no natural shows at all. NPC now does have a natural show in Kentucky, but at that time we did not. And so I was competing, and I was always, I would always place okay in NPC shows. I've won my class several times, and I think I've won like overall novice and would win like middleweight stuff, but that was about as far as I could go. And I was having to travel a long way to find a natural organization. It was like the nearest show was like 4 or 5 hours away. And I'm like, Kentucky needs a natural show. It's just an opportunity for a natural athlete, create a stage and a platform for them to be able to stay natural and to be promoted through that and to be seen and recognized. So I got the idea and started looking into it, and that's what led me to start promoting shows in Kentucky. What keeps me going with it? It's just like a fire. I mean, man, I get excited talking about natural bodybuilding. I could talk about it all day long. I love coming up with ideas and how to make the show better, how to improve the show, how to make it a better experience for the competitor. I love getting to know the competitors. I love their stories. I love the backgrounds that they share with me. Everybody has an interesting story on how they got to the stage. That's just it's just inspires me to listen to that. I love to recognize competitors. I always have at all my shows since I guess 2022, 2021 maybe, an inspiration award. Somebody that has overcome the odds and they still made it up on stage and competing. And I love sharing those stories with everybody. I love going out and finding creative ways to promote my shows. Even, everything from social media to show posters, uh, contacting people. I like the whole 9 yards. It's just a fire that I have in me, a passion that I have, and I just want to continue to make the shows better and better and give the competitors a better experience every time.
Absolutely. Now, since you try to take my last question, I was going to ask. All right, so here in November, we can say it was a passing of the torch. Andy and Fran gave you a big show, and that big show is the NGA Universe, and that will be in Kentucky this year. So just tell us a little bit about that and what can the competitors expect and what's going to be different since it's under your care now.
Yeah, big honor. I was thrilled to take on the show, and I know that Andy Bustinto is a dear friend of mine. He's a great mentor, and Fran is a great friend of mine as well. Andy just had a birthday; he turned 101 years old, and the guy still works out 5 days a week. And I still go to him for advice. His mind is sharp, his body is sharp, and I think Andy and Fran, I think Andy kind of realized, hey, he's 101 years old. He needs some young blood in there. Fran was, kind of the same way. She's seen the passion I feel like that I have for the sport, and so that's when they asked me to take it over. I felt like the universe was it wasn't what it used to be. Numbers had dropped quite a bit, and I think they felt like they needed somebody to come in there who still got that passion and that fire in their belly to get the numbers back up and get it what it should be. And I was just thrilled to be able to take that on. So what we want to do at the universe is, again, the same thing as far as creating an amazing experience, but I want to take it to another higher level because this is the universe. This is a national title show, and I want to make sure that everybody who comes in is treated as such. It's like going to the Mr. Olympia competition. This should be a huge honor to be able to compete in this show, and I want every competitor to feel like it's an honor to be there. So I'm going to go all out as far as all of the bells and whistles. I want to also do a lot of things in this show that's been on my heart to recognize past NGA Universe champions. And I'm looking at maybe getting some pop-up banners and maybe having some of these pros at some point come up on stage and we recognize them different things like that, because these were maybe we'll bring up our champion from 1990, bring up our champion from 2000, bring up our champion from last year or whatever, do something that is going to where these champions are going to be seen and recognized and honored. And that's what I want to do with this show is make it a true experience that everybody's going to want to be a part of. And I'm just, I got that fire to be able to, to do this. I'm hungry for it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that information. So before we end here, can you please recap your 3 shows, the dates and where they're at, and your handle so people can get in contact with you if they want to reach out and ask more questions about the show?
Okay. Yeah. Kentucky Natural Classic will be May 16th, and that will be in Lexington, Kentucky at Rupp Arena in the Convention Center. The October Bluegrass Bodybuilding Championships, that show will be in Louisville at the Kentucky International Convention Center. It's an amazing venue as well. With that show, I am going to be involved in promoting that one, but I'm also bringing up a couple that I am going to eventually completely pass that show off to, David Jones and Emily Thomas. They're going to be picking up that show. So I'll be heavily involved in promoting that show, but they're going to carry that show from now on, and that will give me more time to put into the universe, which is going to be on November 14th. So November 14th is going to be the big one. Putting everything I got into this one. We're getting some really cool sponsors for this one I really want the payouts to be really good in this show. I want the complete experience to be at this show. I'm also planning on getting, a lot of local media here with some of the local news channels to come out and cover this show. Looking at getting the local paper, the Lexington Herald Leader out there. So a lot of things that we're going to be doing. I've also, talking about having a radio, having them doing some of my clients work for a radio station. So they're talking about coming out and doing a show at our show where they do some interviews with the competitors and different things like that. So a lot of cool things that we're going to be doing for the universe this year. It's going to be a great experience for everybody.
Absolutely. And if you are a pro in any other organization, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all do accept pros from other organizations.
Yes. Yeah, you'll still have to contact the NGA. You'll still have to purchase an NGA Pro card and show proof of your pro status from that other organization. But we do accept pros from other organizations. Yes.
Awesome. Well, hey, Josh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And until next time.
Yeah. Hey, man, thank you guys both. You guys I've always looked up to both you guys. I've known Jamal for a long time. And, man, I've always considered you a dear friend, man. And it's always a pleasure to get to see you. And, Eric, I got to meet you for the first time last June, I think. And, I think we sat next together on the judging panel. So I got to know you, and right away I picked up that you was a great guy. Then I realized that you and Jamal have this podcast together. So yeah, and you guys are true champions. It's amazing to see what you guys have accomplished. Phenomenal physiques, and I think both of you guys are Yorton Cup champions. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's and multi-time, right? I know you are, Jamal.
I got 2 of them.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Eric, how many do you have?
I got 1, and I played second 3 times.
Okay. All right. So you guys are great ambassadors for the sport. It's an honor to be on here with you guys.
Thank you, Josh. We truly appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But until next time, like I said, thank you again, Josh. But until next time, guys, next week, peace.
Peace.